Greetings and welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of UC Weekly News. I'm your host, David Danto, back in the chair, back in my office after sharing the episode last week that came from Denver when we were at CEDIA and the Commercial Integrator Expo around the future of workspaces. If you haven't seen that, you should take a look. And I'll be sharing more of that content over the course of the next year or so because we had some really good things. And two of the people that were there are two of the people that are with me here. I want them to introduce themselves, and then I'll explain what's kind of going on over here. So, Kevin, who are you and what do you do?
Well, I am Kevin Kieller. I am a consultant part of the time and an analyst the other part of the time.
And David Maldow, my friend David, to remind everybody what Let's Do Video is.
Hi, I'm David Maldow. I cover business communications. You could find me at Let's Do Video.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen. So if you take a look at the picture that I'm sharing on the screen right now, we were all at WebEx1 about 2.5 weeks ago and had a conversation and a debate and an argument and a discussion amongst us as friends, talking about what was going on with AI and some of the posts I've been making about Wag the Dog and some of David and Kevin's opinion of that. And due to technical errors that were entirely my fault, the audio didn't come out very well. So I shared a little bit of a clip of that video on the WebEx1 feed, but I want to do it again because I think they're really important points for us to all talk about. And it all started when I wrote a blog online and then followed up with another one where I'm of the opinion, and I'm still of the opinion, that the unified communications industry is over-rotated on AI right now. Everything is about AI, AI, AI. It's using up all the oxygen. And I believe to the detriment of other things and features that we really should be focusing on. That was my point, and that it's everybody needs to tell a better story. Oh, your AI is in blue. Our AI can be in blue and green, and then the next one comes along and says, oh yeah, but our AI you can do it without using your fingers, and it becomes meaningless at some point because as the Magic Quadrant came out, for the UCAS space, and just looking, nothing has really changed and moved. This is just table stakes. This isn't what, in my opinion, our industry should be focusing on. We should be focusing on making meetings better. And generative AI generally doesn't make meetings better. It speeds up your ability to take notes and understand what's going on and summarize, and congratulations. Machine learning AI makes your meeting better. The idea that microphones can be focused and cameras can auto switch and systems can turn on by themselves. So I'm certainly not anti any AI, either one, but I think the generative AI, we shouldn't be sitting through a 1 or 2 day symposium from a unified communication vendor where everything they're talking about is their generative AI. And unfortunately, we have been lately. So that was my opinion. That's what I put down. And Kevin, David, you had different opinions. Kevin, why don't you start? What was your contrary to that?
Yeah, well, so I do think these big companies, you reference the Gartner Magic Quadrant, like all the people in the leaders quadrant. I think that these organizations have sufficient resources that they can walk and chew gum at the same time. So I think that they can focus on AI while, generative AI, while also focusing on some of the other core pieces that you talk about, whether it's improved audio through machine learning or video or what have you. The other thing is I think that what's happened is, all of the UCAS platforms have become sufficiently good with respect to the features that they provide. They typically say, they brought thousands of features in the past year. And I think that, we're running out of features that actually make meetings better. And unlike you, David, I do think that generative AI, specifically through meeting summaries, I think that makes meetings potentially better because I can focus on the meeting as opposed to and be more engaged as opposed to doing the note taking. I also think, and I'm hopeful that it will make our meetings be less frequent and shorter because with automated note taking, I can go in and say, hey, I've got a meeting coming up with David Danto and David Maldow. Help me prepare for the meeting. And the generative AI will look at the chats that we've shared and the emails and the previous meeting summaries. And hopefully I come into the meeting much better prepared. So I think generative AI is where UCAS vendors are focusing because they see an opportunity to improve productivity, reduce the number of meetings. I think that the vendors for a long time, especially in the room, have said, let's get the meeting to start faster, one button to join and to get the meeting going. I've always said, let's make the meeting better. I don't want to start a boring hour-long meeting faster. I want to make it shorter, more effective, and potentially maybe we don't even need to have the meeting because our note-taking assisted by generative AI is so good that we don't need to get together just to rehash the things we talked about last week. So that's my point of view.
Um, to jump in, I, I don't think the companies have stopped working on the other problems because of AI. Like the walking and chewing gum thing. I think they're tough problems to solve, but I think they're still working on them. One example, or they don't want to work on them. One big problem we always talk about is interop. The fact that they're not fixing interop isn't because they're distracted by AI, it's because they don't want to fix interop. But even basic things like meeting experience, when we were at the Zoomtopia, and we're talking about WebEx1 here, but at Zoomtopia, I went to the new experience center. One of the second biggest room in the experience center was the meeting room of the future. And yes, there was some AI stuff in there, but the focus of that room was the meeting experience. Intelligent director, which is more of the machine learning stuff that you're talking about. They're working hard on that. It's important to that. And so is everyone else. All their competitors have an intelligent director kind of thing. So I don't think they're too distracted by it. The reason we're hearing so much of it is because a lot of these problems they're trying to solve, as we're trying to solve them, we say, you know what would help with this? AI, because it actually is real and helpful. We do have hype cycles. We had Huddle. It was crazy the way we talked about Huddle. There was something there, but come on. Telepresence, come on. It was so overhyped. And nothing is zero and nothing is 100. Telepresence wasn't zero value, but it wasn't 100%. It wasn't zero hype. So on the hype cycle, if telepresence was 30% value, 70% hype, if Huddle was 50% value, 50% hype, I think AI is 80% value, 20% hype. And I think, David, you think it's the opposite.
Oh, it's definitely the opposite. And the statistics that I've been reading, there was a survey published on Forbes a few weeks ago. What's happening is, and this is really sad, is people are tuning out. When you say, hey, that my AI makes everything better, the survey showed that when you add that name to a brand, it actually diminishes the appearance of its value to the consumer, to the person who's using it. When I hear from the leaders at Zoom or the leaders at Cisco or the leaders at Microsoft coming out and telling me, well, AI and AI and AI and AI and AI, yeah, but what else? And it was interesting. I was watching the Zoomtopia virtually this year. I wasn't there in person. And while it was happening, we were listening to Eric's opening keynote presentation, and I happened to have been online chatting with another journalist from another publication because I was doing some stuff with her that was unrelated to Zoomtopia, but we were both watching the stream. And I asked her, hey, what do you think of this? Because I was starting to tune it out a little bit, and not that I don't love Eric, but the AI, I started to, and her answer was, which is what I heard from most people that I spoke with, is, gee, I was kind of expecting more than this. I was kind of expecting more than, hey, we have AI too, it's 35% better, and here are some of the cool things that it can do. We're tuning into a WebEx1 or a Zoomtopia or a Microsoft Ignite or whatever to say, here's how we've moved the industry. Look at what we've done. Interoperability, David, as you talked about, that's a great topic. There's no reason in the world why a system as intelligent as a generative AI can't take a meeting invitation and say, oh, these guys are using native Microsoft Teams bars. They just got an invitation on Zoom. I'm going to go invoke the PEXIP client, or I'm going to go invoke the direct guest join client and have it be that one button to join, Kevin, that you talked about. It should do that. That's what we'd love it to do, to be smarter than we are. But we're not getting that. We're getting, can I have my summary? And I was having a chat with my partner, Dave Michaels, yesterday on Zoom. We were talking about a project that we're going to be working on. And he got a notice on his screen that said a Zoom companion is recording your meeting, is focusing on your meeting. That was what led to the second blog that I wrote, because people, even who worked at Zoom, thought that indication meant the meeting was being recorded. So they didn't bother pressing the record button. So we never got a transcript. So I'm sure that the smart folks at Zoom will fix the UI and clarify that statement, saying that. But the point is, we're all thumbs in something that we don't know what we're using, how to use it, and it's generally, if it's helping us, Kevin, if it's helping you organize better for a meeting, what did it saved you 10 minutes because you didn't organize it yourself. And you're smart enough to do that. And if you weren't smart enough to do that, you probably shouldn't have had the meeting. So I would really, again, I don't think generative AI is going away. I believe it's now table stakes for all the providers. Some can say ours is better than theirs is better than ours, but don't give me a 1 hour presentation on why your AI is better than their AI, because honestly, I've tuned out after the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, so you raise a couple of good points. And so here's the thing. I also read that Forbes article, and there's other articles that said, yeah, slapping AI in front of your brand is turning off consumers. That's not, that is true, but that has nothing to do with generative AI. That's marketing, being annoying and not getting the messaging right. But let's remember back to the days of unified communications. It became, and I wrote about this going back many, many years. It's like just by putting things together, it doesn't improve business outcomes and it doesn't provide business value. And that's where we are with generative AI or AI. Just because you have artificial intelligence or human intelligence or any intelligence, you need to connect the dots to positive, measurable business outcomes. But it's still all new. So what's happening is people are experimenting, they're trying different things, and eventually, like unified communications, like who cared what wires your voice ran over, right? I mean, the techie people got all excited about that, and eventually there was a business case. And it made sense and it improved business outcomes and it reduced cost and it let you do things. That's where we are in the Gen AI cycle. So the fact that people don't know how to use it effectively, I think, you're kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater by blaming that on Gen AI. That's a training issue. That's always been the case with technology. Yes, people at Zoom, people using Copilot, people using WebEx AI Assistant or Google Gemini, they all need more training to get the effective, use out of it. David Maldow and I do the AI Chefs Show. We have a lot of fun, and we're trying to provide, we call it recipes, tips and tricks. But you know what? Every week we're learning how to use some of these tools more effectively because it's the
So
experimental
new.
stage, right?
It's so
It's
new.
so new. So it's like, I think it's going to fundamentally change things. I think it is going to boost communications and collaboration in ways that, are far better than, I don't know, high resolution video or screen sharing or the different things. It's just going to take us a number of years to figure out, what those specific use cases are. But I'm going to continue to experiment, and I suggest everybody else experiment along with me.
I saw the Eric's keynote differently. I didn't see it as an hour of here's how our AI is better than the competitor's AI. I did see one slide that said
Yes.
our AI is 35% more accurate than the competitor AI. That was there, but he spent 30 seconds on it. And the rest of the time, it wasn't just maybe we're seeing it through a different lens. I didn't just say, "Hey, we're throwing AI here. Hey, we're throwing AI here." What I saw was what you're asking for was, okay, yeah, we have AI and everything. Here are some really compelling examples of things where it's so cool that everyone in the audience goes, "Ooh!" And I'm thinking, can I have that? I'm messaging my Zoom contact saying, "I want that today." Um, um, Zoom tasks. That
Mm.
is what generative AI should be doing. I've read books on productivity that talk about the how much it hurts our brains to think I have some to-dos on my emails. I have to check my chat with Kevin. I have to check my meeting summaries. I have some things written down here. I have to-dos, I have to-dos, I have to-dos. How do I keep track of them? We're not good at that. We're good at doing the to-dos. And this Zoom task is going to use AI to read my emails and read my chats and read all my stuff and make a to-do list and do some of them for me. That's the thing that I didn't catch in the keynote. Caught in an after briefing. Some of the tasks you can click on them and AI will say, "Hey, you want me to do that for you?" This is not, yeah, you're throwing AI at everything. That is wow. My voice is going up. And that's what I saw at the keynote was examples like that. And for Cisco too, I want to give Cisco credit too. And I'm not a contact center guy. Of course, I have to cover contact center. It's so important. The examples of AI in the contact center, everyone in the audience was going, whoa. Even the most cynical analysts are going, okay, okay, okay. That's real. That's cool.
Well,
Um,
AI agents are a different category. And again, we all saw the value in that from the demo. And when that becomes real and fully fleshed out, that's a cool thing. The I guess I'll make 2 points to what you said, David. You're pointing out that later on in the keynote, Eric did something that you felt was really valuable. At that point in the keynote, probably a lot of people tuned out because the message was all AI and they just didn't hear it. Okay. So again, I think there's a balance here that we are not as an industry achieving. And I don't, Eric Yuan is a brilliant guy and I consider him a good friend. And I'm not saying anything negative about his keynote. He's a terrific presenter. I'm just using that as an example because we were all watching it. We were all there. The other point is, and this is a fair point to explain, I'm not against generative AI at all. I have a meeting coming up. One of the things that I find really useful for generative AI to do is when I'm putting down thoughts for something that I don't edit as I go. I just jam the thoughts down on a piece of paper, and then I'll input that to generative AI and say, hey, can you clean this up? And it cleans it up. And then I go back and edit on top of it so it'll be
How
in
much
my
would you pay
voice.
an intern to do that for you?
Okay, but so I did that today. I have a meeting coming up about an hour after we're recording this, where I needed to get notes in for like 4 questions on a Q&A situation. So I sat down on my computer and I opened up a document editor and I typed in the document editor probably 2 pages worth of stream of consciousness notes. And I dumped that into an AI agent. And I asked the AI agent, can you clean this up for me and organize it and make it thoughts? It sent me back something that was not detailed enough. So I went back and said, oh, that's good, but you're missing the detail here and you need to fix that. And it sent me back something which was 90% useful. And then I took that, tweaked it, and I put it put it in. So that was a really good use of generative
Great
AI.
use.
But was it unified communications?
If you use Zoom Docs to do it, it
What
is.
about that was a meeting? What about that was calling? What about that was sharing? What about that's a personal productivity improvement that I may or may not be able to use? But my point is, it's not UC.
What
Not
what
Yeah,
if you
but
do the
no,
same?
no.
Wait, what
Now
if
you're
you wait?
playing. Now
What
you're
if you do
playing
the? Hold on, hold
semantics,
on. What
right?
what if you do the same exact thing in Zoom Docs and it's a Zoom doc that you share with me for a project that we're working on together?
you're again, I think we are over rotated on an industry that should be looking at how do we make the experience that we're having right now better. And you're talking about a productivity tool that probably has nothing to do with the UC stack that's being thrown in as a, hey, look at us, we've got a better thing, we've got better salt and pepper than everybody else. I see it as salt and pepper. I don't see it as the meat.
Yeah, I think you're wrong there because, making meetings better, and we've always known you should have an agenda. People don't have an agenda, right? And so, for example, what you maybe described was preparing for a meeting so that the value of the meeting was better. To David Maldow's point, we could have had a shared document, right? So for me, communications and collaboration has always been broader. And so whether if we do it in person, if we do it in video, if we do it in chat, if we don't meet at all, and when we do it asynchronously, I do think that generative AI can help both summarize, help us prepare, help us synthesize and bring together disparate kind of pieces. So I think all of that, for me, that is the broadness of communications and collaboration. And then to David Maldow's point, a lot of times we communicate because something needs to get done. And so if he sends me an email and if my AI assistant says, hey, David wanted to schedule a meeting, would you like me to take care of that? And has visibility of our calendars and knows our preferences and books it for me, that's more rapid communication. So I think that that does fall under UC&C, at least in my book.
There's
Okay,
a there's a button down on my to-do list on the Zoom taskbar right now for docs. I can open a doc. I won't do it because I might mess up our views. I can open a doc in this meeting right now and ask the AI, "Hey, this meeting is a live thing we're doing here. Make a script for a follow-up event we want to do next month." I mean, it is helping with the productivity of what we're doing with this meeting. If this was a planning session, I can open up the Zoom doc and say, "Hey, do whatever we were just talking about. Start it for
Right.
us."
all right, again, I think the disagreement here might be somewhat semantic, although I believe the over-rotation isn't a semantic issue. I believe the over-rotation is a reality that, people are starting to tune out because we're hearing way too much of the same story. But I do believe that there are problems that intelligent machines could be fixing that they're not, because the AI story is using up all the oxygen. You guys both make the point that they're plenty big enough companies they could be working on at the same time. But clearly, what they're telling us about with generative AI is their focus. And I could give you a list of 10 things that should have more focus, whether it's interoperability and starting meetings more regularly, whether it's the whole idea of meeting equity. We've now decided as an industry that meeting equity is solved with center of table cameras, and no, it's not. No, it's not. That's convenient. So how do we make sure that there's an equitable meeting? How do we make sure that if somebody's writing something on a board, I can see it and I can write something on the board too? And how do we make sure that happens automatically? And how do we make sure that when I walk into the room, if now all of a sudden we're saying that privacy is not an issue, and I don't know when that happened, but if we're saying privacy is not an issue, so my voice and my face is now recognized by the room system, when is the room going to say, "Hey, Dave, I see you're here. I see you've got a meeting at 10 o'clock. You want me to start it for you yet?" That would be a really good use of intelligent machines and AI. And these are the things I think our industry should be focusing on. Certainly what Cisco's doing with its AI codec, with the idea that it's fixing missing pieces in audio, which is awesome. Certainly what we're doing with machine learning and AI, like again, we were at Cisco WebEx1 around their new ceiling microphone, where they've got the array built in such a way so that it auto tunes itself. I don't see that as I don't want this to sound negative for Cisco. I don't see that as much as a product revolution. I'm sure the Microphone Pro is a great product. I see that as an audio revolution. Those microphones can be anywhere in the room. They can be embedded in the tops of the chairs. They can be embedded in the table. They can be embedded in the lighting in the room. And the same technology that creates that audio balance around auto tuning could happen the same way. I think it's, as a technology, that's dead on. That's unified communication. That's collaboration. So I'm just of the opinion that, yeah, it's nice to have a tool. It's nice to walk up. It's nice to get a meeting summary. It's nice to get tasks, whether we trust it or not, whether it's 90% or 80% or 100%, yeah, whatever. But I think we need to stop talking about it. We need to lower the temperature on the burners and start talking again about how do we make our meetings better. And when I talk about meetings being better, to me, that's start, stop, connection, collab, video, audio, UI. That's what I mean about better. When you talk about meetings being better with generative AI, you're talking about preparation and post meeting and productivity, which are all very valuable things, but I think we're over rotated on it in the UC space. No comment? No, you're wrong.
No,
No,
no, no. I think you're right. I just think that it's like you see it as being you can't do both things simultaneously. So I think the things you're talking about,
They're
I
hard
don't see that people
problems.
have stopped working on those things, right? And I
well,
thought the WebEx,
they certainly stopped talking about them.
well, okay, that's once again, that's the marketing. Marketing, latches on to something and they have a message. Everybody now is, AI agents, right? Because Salesforce came out with Agentforce and then Microsoft execs said, oh my gosh, we better come out with Copilot Wave 2. And then we heard the future is agentic, I think both at Zoomtopia and at WebEx1. Um, and so yes, I think that they're marketing against each other and they're all overhanging the market and announcing things that are going to be available mid
Yep.
2025, but that's marketing. But I think they are working on all kinds of things. I know that there was some Microsoft Teams Room interop announcements just this week, right? In terms of it doing better, guest join. So I think that these are happening, but to your point, Dave, it was funny. Enterprise Connect AI was a separate show in Santa Clara this year, but quite frankly, that was a little funny to me because Enterprise Connect in Orlando in March of 2024 was all about AI. So certainly, I grant you, everybody feels they need to have an AI story, but I don't think that that represents what people are working on.
I will say something on Dave's side. I'll switch sides for a second to give an example of, because like I said, it's not a 0 100%. I think we're 80-20, you think we're 20-80. But here's an example of how we're over rotated and talking too much about it. Everyone has an AI studio.
Right.
And as an AI nerd, as one of the hosts of the AI Chef Show, I'm interested in that and I want to know about that. No one else wants to know about that. The programmers need to know about that. That's what the admins behind the scenes will use. If you're Bank of America and you're using Zoom's AI and you wanted to know about banking stuff, it's how you teach it about the banking stuff. If you're working for McDonald's, about it, teach how you teach it about the burgers. So it's cool. It's interesting. It's important. It's important that they have it. It's important that they're developing it. It's important to their customers, but it's important to the AI, the IT AI guys. It's not, and Cisco and Zoom and everyone else spent a lot of time during their keynotes talking about the studio because it's cool and it's AI and it's part of the hype. When no, a lot of people sitting in the chairs didn't need to know about that. But I will say, I don't think it's, I think David Danto is seeing a lot of it like that. I'm seeing some of that, but most of what I'm seeing is stuff like the Zoom tasks, the contact center stuff, the stuff that I think is real, good uses of AI that people
Because
need to know about.
I'm glad we were able to have the conversation. I think these kinds of conversations help the industry. We need to do more than just parrot what we're hearing. We need to really analyze and have an opinion about what's going on. Everybody knows how to get in touch with both of you. You both said it at the beginning of the show, but how can they watch this new AI Chef show?
Oh, you could actually find it at letsdovideo.com/AI chefs. We made a page just for our episodes of that. Or you could just go to letsdovideo.com and all the episodes are on the front page there as well.
David and Kevin, thank you very much for having the conversation with me. I appreciate it. And thank you very much for watching. We will see you next week. Take care.